Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Clutter podcast. This 20, what is it? Yeah, lost track of time, August 21st. So I had a good holiday because I'm only really half back. Anyway, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to draw on your own experience as well. Now, I'll give you a heads up at this point. Don't give advice, all right? But when we open the mics, if you've had an experience that you think is parallel to what we're speaking about briefly, just share with others what worked for you, all right? How you handled it. That is not giving advice, that is respecting that you've had an experience and that this worked to this degree. And when we add the degree to which we've mastered even a part of a problem, that is something that then can help other people not repeat because you were right, but kind of use it as juice to oil the wheels, as it were. Grease is probably a better word. Grease the wheels of their own struggle. And there's nothing like having more options to help you figure out what will work better for you. Okay, so we're going to talk today about overcoming challenges. And I'm going to give a very short intro just so that we can kind of set the tone and set some parameters around what would be really helpful for you folks to join in a little bit later. And then we're going to open the mics, okay? So as I said, please don't give advice. If you've got something to offer, let it be sharing your experience, what you did, but being very clear, not what somebody else should do, okay? So let me start off with some thoughts, okay? When we expect is the key word here, that any of our work, any of the jobs that we face have to end or be done in a certain way or a certain period of time by a certain deadline. The first time we do it, what we're actually doing, okay, is setting ourselves up for something we've talked about before, and that is perfectionism, right? So we know, having talked about this before, that perfectionism can creep up on us. It can kind of hide in the wings. It can be a partial pressure that we put on ourselves quietly, silently. And then when we do that, we're setting ourselves up for unrealistic expectations, because before we've even started the task, probably before we've even started to approach it, we kind of have it decided pretty much how it has to be, all right? And that sets us up to buy into those unrealistic expectations. They don't just come into our mind. Now we're committed to them, all right? And then it also, by association, sets up an expectation of what on this day, given the energy, given the resources, given the skills, given the insight, given the capability we have, and that's different every day. All right, we're in an ebb and a flow. What the outcome has to be, and what the outcome, even more importantly, has to be acceptable. All right. So remember, there are three vulnerabilities that we become susceptible to when we let any degree of perfectionism, pre-deciding, is a good indicator if you're pre-deciding what something, a narrow range of what something has to do or be or achieve. We're letting that perfectionism, it's like water, it just occupies more space than we intended in us. And the vulnerabilities, remember, are a fear of failure. That is enough for some people to shut them down right away. Fear of success, as odd as that sounds, because to whatever degree you experience a fear of success, generally what you're thinking, whether you're admitting it to yourself or not, is if I do it that well that time, what are they going to expect? What am I going to expect? How do I exceed it the next time? That's a trap. All right. Just when you find yourself thinking anything like that, stop yourself right away. That is not realistic. Every situation stands on its own. All right. And the third vulnerability is a fear of being controlled now, either by our own unrealistic standards that we're buying into, or in the eyes of other people, our boss, our parents, our family, our friends, our whoever. All right. Or the voices on the committee tape in our head. Those voices that made demands and set unrealistic standards for us earlier in our life, they are embedded. We carry those with us. We are the only voice we should be listening to, right? Because when we listen to those other factors, those other vulnerabilities, all right, we make ourselves vulnerable before we even get out of the gate. All right. That is not a good way to start. All right. And often that vulnerability, all right, is about will we or what we produce be good enough? Okay. So when we're even entertaining that headspace, we let it kind of creep up and sit there, right? I'd say wrestle with it because there's usually only one outcome when that happens. And that is, and many people tell me this, that's enough to help us either sabotage the work we're setting out to do, because half of our energy is on those concerns. We're not really attending to what, focusing and attending on what we need to do or want to do. We're only half showing up. All right. It can also actually suck away the energy and the focus and cause distractibility. Distractibility can become a good friend in helping us to avoid the work. All right. The work that's required to actually become as good at whatever we are aiming for with this project that is this job or whatever it is that is the whole subject of our consideration. And all of those things before you even get started add to sabotaging ourselves. You do not want to start anything with a list of concerns, a list of insecurities, and a feeling of palpable uncertainty. Is there anybody here who can't see that that is a recipe for the degree to which you're feeling any of those things or those thoughts are coming through your mind to sabotage yourself? Is there anybody here who thinks, oh, no, that's just normal? Okay. Because it's happening doesn't mean it's normal. All right. Because it's happening means you may need to do a little bit of pre-work with yourself to allow yourself to show up for yourself. All right. We need to be willing to show up for ourselves and just keep doing what's necessary and do that showing up and be willing to do the best we can do today repeatedly. All right. And because you were a star yesterday, doesn't mean you're going to be a star today on phase 2, phase 3. You are who you are. You're doing the work. You're showing up. That makes you a star. All right. You just keep repeating that until you're finished. That's how we master any of the tasks that, as you look out, are before you. Okay. So try really, really hard not to worry about failing. Just keep showing or being inadequate, not good enough, lacking, dissatisfied with what you're producing. Just keep showing up for yourself and just keep trying. That is all that matters. You will get there. Give yourself permission, all right, to learn from whatever mistakes you make on whatever day, right, to get to the place where you want and need to be. Mistakes are correctable. As you move forward, you don't have to do everything to a high standard. You can always go back and revisit and rework something. That's always possible. All right. So start by deciding that you will just get as much as you can of the project in front of you done today. And then, and only then, after you've shown up, done what you can honestly do, it's only after that, when you have enough steam in the tank, all right, that you can go back and tweak it to where maybe you'd like it to be a little different. Maybe in that process you've learned or your goals have changed, all right? But that final accomplishment doesn't have to be on the first try. Here's another set of 3 questions. Remember, when you're in trouble and you're kind of stewing about things, your 3 questions, not the new 3 questions, the old 3 questions are, what do you need? Where is it? And how do you get enough of it to make enough of a difference in this situation? Here's another 3 questions when you find yourself kind of stumbling and either becoming distracted and not overcoming a challenge, enough of a challenge, and you're not satisfied, or you stop dead and find something else to think about rather than what was part of your goal for today. Here's another set of 3 questions, and they're just designed to help you move forward. Decide what's frustrating you. If you're not moving forward with your plans or to tick, 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 something's getting in the way. What is it? Stop and think about it. Listen and respect your own feelings, your own messages to yourself. They're trying to tell you something. Respect yourself. Okay? Even if yesterday you were a star at this, today you will be who you will be. And if something's getting in the way, stop and attend to figuring out what's frustrating you, what is upsetting you, what is in the way. All right. The other thing next thing I want you to do after you figure out what your feelings are, what is the meaning? Remember, we said way, way, way back, rarely is it the event itself or the thing itself that really matters to us. The thing that really can derail us is the meaning we apply to it. Because when we apply a meaning, that is what we are committing to. Be really careful about the meaning you apply to it. At least in this 3-step exercise to get yourself unstymied, all right, At least observe. Don't judge, just observe. What is the meaning you are applying to whatever that frustrating or derailing feeling is, or distracting feeling? All right. And you know what? Here's the thing. Respect your feelings, respect the meaning. Doesn't mean you're right. You don't have to be right. We have all kinds of crazy, confused thoughts. Everybody does. But wouldn't you want to be aware of them and be able to sort those out? They will know, actually, you know what? I'm not going to commit to that. Just need to understand you are who you are at that time. This is what you're bringing to today. It's not who you are fundamentally. It's sort of where you are physically, mentally, and emotionally today. And just do the best analysis you can to decide at that point. I call it taking your temperature, like plumbing your depths that day. And each day it's a different plumb. All right. Decide based on what you're feeling, what the meaning is that you're giving to whatever is distracting you or getting in the way, respecting it, hearing it. Don't commit to it. Doesn't have to be a reality, but do those two things. And then the third step is, given whatever that is for today, with the job that's in front of you, even if it's just 15 minutes of sorting, all right, decide what your best course of action is today. Even if that means that you need to rethink yesterday's or rework yesterday's plan. But do not read my lips. Do not rehash your concerns over and over and over and over and over. All right? On any day. Whatever choice you make to move forward is going to allow you to discover what your next need is. Do it the same or do it differently. Readjust, readapt, trust yourself. You've got this far in life, haven't you? I mean, you know the old test, get a mirror and exhale. If there's fog, you're doing pretty well. And you're showing up. Okay. Okay, I'm still in the game. Yeah. All right. So you've got this far. And you must be, to some degree, on the right path, because you're still looking for ways to improve. Right? You haven't given up. And that's evidence that you can do it. Just don't talk yourself out of the game. Before you start, no matter how you feel, ask yourself a different question. I don't think I can do that. Okay. Next question, people. And there is always a good answer to this. You can't do that? Okay, what can you do? Because there's always, all right. If you're still putting fog on the mirror, all right, there's always something you can do. Do that. Okay, we're going to open the mics. Now, I'm going to need some help with this, Dawn. Okay, move that up there. Has anybody got something that they are working on that is proving to be frustrating or annoying, or they've gotten to a point where kind of bumping their head a little on it? Anybody? Or this is going to be a very short podcast.
Yes, hello, thank you. So yeah, I'm still struggling with getting a clear path in the hallway and entrance. And I know that's like a thing that you're always saying, like that's number one, but I don't know how to get that. because there's no room to put things anywhere else. So I don't even know how to approach that. I've kind of just it's the overflow space in the rooms I'm using, and I have nowhere to move them because I can't work on the rooms I'm working on. So
Okay. So I can't see the things, but let me just take it from the questions that come into my mind, and you're the only one with the answers. All right. So I'm not going to presume to tell you something I can't see. My first question, Christine, and only you can answer this, is when you look at all of the things that are in the way, how many of those things are number ones? 1, 2, 3s.
they're
Nope.
mixtures in
That
everything.
that breath told me a lot. All right. Yeah, that breath was, yeah, that was the giveaway. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit, and I'm not saying I'm right because I can't see. I can't see what you're looking at. But the fact that you needed to stop and think and go meant you were protecting something. All right. In your own mind, you're protecting something. And it if that pathway from wherever you are, I'm assuming you're in the kitchen, which is where you usually are, when you join us, to your front door, it is a logical impossibility. 23 and a half years. Okay. I can't tell you what the items are because I can't see them, and I don't have access to your mind. All right. But it's a physical and theory. It's just classically an impossibility that every one of those things are a 1, 2, 3. And when you put yourself on stall because it means you'd have to do something about it, all right, you'd actually have to come to terms with each of these things that you have acquired, which, and you and I have talked before, and you've talked with this group before, you're coming from a scarcity mindset. All right. And people can be financially very solvent and still come from a scarcity mindset. So it doesn't say anything about anything else. It's what's happening up here. All right. And if you can look at 3 things that are in that way, in your way to your front door, because none of those things are worth your life, Christine. And none of those things are worth emergency assistance, being able to get in to help you to have the life you were meant to have. Nothing we have is worth that. All right, you've got to know that. So if you look at the pile of things that are blocking your exit, tell me 3 things, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm just going to ask you some questions about them.
Okay. I mean, the main thing right now that's kind of blocking the stairs, although I have like a small sliver that I've left myself when I hold onto the banister, is my empty storage containers because I washed them all and I had nowhere else to let them dry and stack them. So they're kind of all like stacked up really precariously, but very also like it's like a beautiful Jenga tower. I'm almost kind of proud of it. That's sort of like blocking
I wouldn't be proud of it if I would not allow myself to convince myself to be proud of it. All right.
I got it balanced. I was like, wow, this is impressive.
And the laughter. All right. It's not funny, Christine. It's not funny. We need to stop telling yourself stories about it's a tower and I'm almost proud of it. No, 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 no. This could cost you your life. This could cost you your life. If it's blocking help that you may need, and you're not invincible, I'm not invincible. Nobody here is invincible. There are people today who aren't going to make it through to tonight because something's going to happen to them. And that's not to scare you. That's simply to put something on a balance sheet. All right. Nobody signs up for that. Nobody says, okay, pick me today. No, no. All right? So if those things are in the way, in the place you have, do you have a basement? Do you have a spare room? Do you have a backyard? Do you have a porch? Do you have a back area for exit?
No, I've plugged up all the areas.
Yeah.
It's sad.
So are you on a ground level
It's a
unit?
two level apartment, so it's like it's basically like a garden home, but it's two floors, and unfortunately, I can't put anything outside because I've got a neighbor who's super chemically sensitive. And anytime I put anything out there, she complains about it. So
Okay.
that's a battle I don't need to fight with her.
Okay. And how many of the totes are there?
A dozen, maybe. Like they're
Okay.
part of the process. Like I do hope to put stuff in them.
But here's the thing. You got a dozen totes and you're hoping to put things in them. Where are those totes going to go when they're full? If there isn't enough room for them when they're stacked, where are they going to go when they're
Gotta
full
replace the cardboard boxes that are smelly.
that are blocking your way?
Well, the
So,
cardboard boxes are smelly, so they yeah.
well, they may be smelling. So am I hearing you say that the plastic totes would be an unsmelly way for you to block your way with the things that are in the boxes?
Yeah, something.
Okay, I'm not trying to get you in a corner. I'm trying to get you to look at your logic. Whatever makes up the thing that's blocking your way, the things that are blocking your way, no matter storage, if you were that full, storage is not the answer.
I guess the issue is like how do you decide which ones are the 1, 2s, and 3s when they're kind of all it's hard to know what you have when it's that much stuff all in one spot. Like I saw
No,
this
no, no, no.
show where they
So
spread them all out in a warehouse and like that's what I
no, 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 no. You don't have the luxury, all right, at this point, if you're that full, don't look at the full job. Don't look at the collection. All right. It picks something that is in the way that will give you a productive outcome and start pulling the things that are of that precise type to where you are and decide as you go. So an example might be bedding. All right. So if what's in your way is made up of a collection of something, then pull that type of thing together, go and find it wherever it is in your unit, pull it into one spot, and then you need to sit and have a come to truth moment with yourself about, all right, how long am I planning to live? How many beds do I have? How many pillows do I have? Really and truly, how many times do I want to have to do the laundry? Um, Maybe this number of sets is all I need. What are the best representations in my mind of that number? And you are, even though there may be extras, all right, you're not going to live long enough to use them. You're just not going to live long enough to use them. You have nothing. You have nothing that makes up for the extras that get in the way and block your path. So don't look in the big picture. You pick one thing, the things that are accessible, and you start working on that pathway. All right. And you're a smart woman. You and I have talked before. You're a smart woman. All right. One of the ways we can disable ourselves is by making something funny, or making it feel impossible, I'm going to suggest that, because I know you don't have other people into your home, I'm going to suggest that you get a pad of paper, find paper in your unit, all right, and write down. Don't make it an epistle, all right? Just make it short statements of what you're telling yourself. And then put that down and come back to it 2 hours later and see if somebody was telling you that and it wasn't about your things, it was about their things, how much sense would that make? It's a way to externalize your internal thoughts and become somebody who can step outside of their own logic for their own good and have a look at the messages, the ways they're making what they tell themselves sound like it makes sense. And generally, all right, it boils down to 3 things phrased many different ways. I'm afraid. All right. I love it. It's something that is like, just touches my heart. It makes me feel really good. Or I believe it's worth something. All right. So intrinsic, it has value. I might not like it, but it cost me, and that can come in many different ways. We can say that to ourselves. I spent good money on that and I haven't had my value of it. We all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and I want you to check. If in the period of time that you've held on to that thing and whatever you paid for it, by holding on to it, did that put that money back in your account? Because if it didn't, it's not worth anything if it's causing you safety problems. All right. I love it. It just thrills me to bits. I do believe that only because in 23 and a half years, I've never had a situation where it wasn't true. All right. I'm not saying it can't be untrue, but I haven't experienced that. Generally, the things that we absolutely love, so long as we're not trying to rationalize it, we always know if you look at something and you go, oh, all right, that's love. All right. If you look at something and you go, that's so nice, and you're really talking yourself around to it, you don't really love that thing, you're talking yourself into it. All right. You have a response to it. If you don't, stop talking yourself into things. Things are worth what we paid for them. Don't let them exact a higher cost by putting your life, your safety, and your mental health at risk. It's not worth that. All right. Or sentimental. All right. Fear. Fear is sentimental. I'll be alone. I'll be something. And it doesn't feel good. There are some things, all right, but that when we hold on to them, they do give us almost like a guy wire on a tent. All right. They kind of support us when we feel vulnerable. No problem with that. However, pick the biggest example of the thing that sustains you in whatever that emotional experience is. If it's grief, loss, whatever, fear, whatever it is, pick the biggest example of that and hold on to that and get it front and center. So that when you're feeling vulnerable, when you're feeling sad, when you're missing someone who has died, or whatever the loss is, all right, you can go to it, you can look at it, and it can remind you in your mind of what it is you need to be reminded of that makes you feel more solid. But everything can't do that. If you have 100 of those things, 200 of those things, you're not 200 more not grieving, not feeling sad. They don't fill you, right? You can love, and the other thing to keep in mind, Christine, is when you're looking, you can love something. No problem with that. You can love something, but it's never going to love you back. It is never going to love you back. It is an inanimate thing, and don't let it be. If that is the thing that balances you, all right, you don't have safe balance if it's a thing, because tangible things are going to break, get lost, get stolen, deteriorate, become less of whatever they are. Things will never sustain us. You need something else that you don't have, that you can't purchase, that doesn't occupy space. And generally those things are relationships. So all of these things we keep to sustain ourselves, they will never replace or be enough for what we actually do need. Go find what you do need. You're a smart woman. You can do this. I know you can do it. You and I have talked before. Don't talk yourself into this stuff. And please get that. I don't care what you have to do. All right. You get that to entrance and exit pathways clear. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Huge fan of yours, Elaine.
Thank you.
I've had a lot of success this summer, and I'm really happy about that. I actually got rid of 2 bookshelves, tall bookshelves full of books, and the bookshelves, I just gave them all away. Yay. So I've been doing really well this summer. My husband is ecstatic that this is all happening. So I'm a teacher, and at school, my room is being renovated. I actually had to move. I teach kindergarten. I had to pack up and move all of my things into the hallway, which is a lot of stuff. But the custodian, who is not the best person ever, at all, actually came at me, was like saying, "You got too much stuff." And like, it was just really horrible, this experience with him. I mean, he should never have treated me that way, but I find that like in moments like that, I tend to shut straight down. I went from like this, being totally motivated to not being motivated. And that tends to be my issue. I lose motivation. And yet I've been doing really amazing. I've been doing all of that. But in that moment, that couple of minutes where he's like shaming me, he called health and safety on me. And like, it was like, to me, it was unreasonable, but there's still a part of me inside that is experiencing every negative comment that I've ever had previously also, and it's totally shutting me down. So
yeah. So when we've been shamed or we've shamed ourselves or we felt apologetic, I want you to think of it as a very deep bathtub.
okay.
And when an event happens again, we trip over the side of the tub and we end up face down in the tub. Okay, we do. Sorry, like drowning in it. Okay. So he called health and safety. That's interesting. What did health and safety say?
Health and safety said that and everything is packed in bins and boxes, which if you've ever packed things away to move, you know that it looks a lot worse than when you unpack it all and put it away, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So they're
because
claiming
everything from a lot of different spaces get pulled together into one space. Yeah.
right. And they said that they didn't think that all of that stuff will fit in. So they're citing me right now with the anticipation that it won't fit in to the renovation, but there's more storage than I had before. So logic says it will go back in and I'll have even more space for
So
things.
they bought you some time.
Well, I'm not sure. Like, I guess like next week I have to go in and I have to unpack it all, but I'm worried too that like my fear is somebody's going to be there watching over me while I do things. Like I have all these thoughts and fears going on in my head. Like what if health and safety pops by and they're standing there? Like that will also shut me down. So I feel like, the custodian is anticipating my failure. So then I can't help, like I already do that to myself. So, I mean, I don't need more people thinking that I'm going to fail with the task. And so,
Do you feel that you have, prior to this renovation, that you've developed a reputation for yourself where people have observed a lot of accumulation in your classroom?
no.
Then you don't, then here's what I think. You tell me whether it works or not. I think this is actually more of an issue of boundaries and limits.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what I do. My husband was a teacher for many years and a vice principal. So tell you what I do. I would start out as I intend to continue. All right, unapologetically. You're going to feel defensive. Of course, you're going to feel internally like, and I would state right up front with the principal and with health and safety. Look, I didn't have a reputation before of having a lot, but kindergarten is kind of a special grade. All right, there's a lot of stuff
Yes.
for munchkins. So I would say that right up front. Look, this wasn't a problem that anybody had to remark on before. And I assure you that anything that I don't believe as a teacher with X number of years of experience, all right, that my students don't need, I don't need. All right. And because somebody was having a bad day and decided to make rude comments about the storage of bulky things, which are generally more like what you're going to find in a 4-year-old kindergarten or a 5-year-old, even grade 1, all right, a class, then he was having a bad day and he was inappropriate. I'd like you to speak to him about really the appropriateness of doing that. I chose not to make an issue of it at the time, but that can't happen again. If he has a concern, he can talk to the principal. The principal can come and talk to me. And as two professionals who know what we're talking about a classroom, all right, we can sort out what's what.
Yes.
Right.
I actually did all of that. And even in the moment, I was proud of myself because I kept myself calm.
Good.
I said to him, if you're going to continue to behave this way and talk to me this way, then this conversation cannot continue.
Good for you.
But his response was, well, I don't care. I don't want to have this conversation. And then he slammed the door shut. And so like it's difficult too, because I have to work in the same building as that guy, and who wants to? And here I am. I put so much into my job. And because of my tendencies, I'm very aware of whether I collect clutter or not. I put a lot of energy into making the room like full of things that the kids love and want to do, but also clear of clutter and all of that. So it's like that's a success area in my life. And it's like that it's been the bright light for me because I do clutter at home in a very different way. I have a lot of piles and,
there are certain professions, I have to tell you. All right. Let me just list them for you. Teachers, did I mention teachers? Did I mention teachers? Nurses, doctors, lawyers, research scientists, translators, who else? Nurses, did I mention nurses? Anybody where the collection, storage, and retrieval of information, either in whatever form is required for their profession, seems to be at a higher risk for excessive buildup of things. The inside story with teachers is that years ago, Board of Education would buy supplies. Then all of these cutbacks came, and teachers were buying the supplies themselves, because teaching is not a job, it's a vocation. All right, like being a priest or a nun or something where you dedicate yourself. All right, it's a vocation, and because it costs so much, you don't know whether, and most teachers do this, like excessive, maybe not to the point of being able to be labeled hoarding, but there's also that camaraderie where you trade off. You might be teaching kindergarten now,
Hi, Tammy.
but
Could
if
I
you,
speak?
okay, can you mute yourself, anybody else? And then next year you could be doing grade 5. All right. And so teachers trade among themselves too, which is another kind of communal support way that things build up. I understand what you're saying about the custodian. My suggestion, you may already have done this, is to go and ask to meet with I know the principal when school's starting up and everything is a little crazy, but I would get the principal's ear officially, not just on the fly, and so that it stands, this is important. All right. And say, I would like you to speak to the custodian because I wouldn't want to have to file a complaint against him for inappropriate behavior. And he can have whatever opinion he has. That's up to him. But if he's got any problems, I would appreciate there being a protocol where he comes to you or the vice principal, all right, and talks to them about it. He does not address it with whatever. And then you will be able to see whether he's having a problem with people because he's reporting a lot of people, all right, or he's targeting someone, in which case we can resolve that in a 3-way meeting. But I don't want that to disrupt my ability to be the teacher that I'm being paid to be.
Thank you.
Boundaries and limits will help you protect yourself. And I think you handled it really, really well. But I do understand it opened up an insecurity because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, not true in this case, but maybe a little too close to home and exaggerated, left you feeling vulnerable and kind of exposed. And keep that bathtub metaphor in your mind, all right? Because you're never supposed to trip over the edge, which is what happened when you started to feel vulnerable and were shaming yourself. Okay, stay away from the edge, all right? There is no one who doesn't have things that they wish they didn't have to consider about themselves. We all have hiccups for sure. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, Elaine.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, everybody. I will see you next week. Take care. Make it a good one.